Thanks for joining us today for BRMC's Healthy Connections. Judy, Melody, welcome. We're so glad you're here today, and we've got lots to talk about this afternoon. And Judy, tell me about the last dance that's coming up in Cotter.
It'll be next Friday, the 30th, 9 o'clock.
Okay.
The community's invited. That's so important for us to get that word out because it's not just a school function. We do want the community to come.
But they got to bring their lawn chairs.
Bring lawn chairs, thanks. Forgot that part, yeah.
Okay.
I checked the weather last night. It's going to be sunny, but the ground may be wet. The last dance started in 2002, and it was my community service work for the agency to do a program that would kind of knock it up a notch for kids rather than go in the classroom and talk to them about high-risk behavior at prom time. And we put together a car crash reenactment and at Cotter. I thought it would just be that one day. We had an incredible turnout, got a lot of publicity. The schools were real proud, and we walked away from it and said, good job. Kids were really involved in it. And the next year I got a call from Mountain Home. And so 10 years later, 11 performances, 4 counties.
Excellent.
We've had 350 people show up. We've had 2,800 people at the rodeo arena one year.
Wow.
And it's had a heartbeat.
Has it ever?
And this year, Gerald Cantrell from the hospital called and said they needed a community service event that they could dedicate themselves to every year. And they had been with me before on every time I'm in Baxter County.
Right.
So
Gerald's in charge of all the ambulances at the hospital.
And so they have been a wonderful partner, and he said we would like to be a permanent partner with you. And I agreed, and Charles Grinder in the trauma unit invited me over, and that's how I met Melody, and we sat down and began to talk about it. And he was on the school board at Cotter, and I said that's where I started, and I sure would like to go back. And he said, well, I think we can make that happen.
Wonderful.
And so that's how we got back to Cotter 10 years later. And I thought, you know, I've had a big birthday year, and so I'm thinking I'm going to have to work for quite a bit longer as a DWI officer. So I think that this community service event is a good way to pass it to the hospital.
Great. Pass the gauntlet
Pass the torch on,
yeah.
and say goodbye to the program and just kind of be an advisor in the future, the first time they do it on their own. And
they need that wisdom.
Yeah,
and
10 years later,
definitely,
to take with them.
Just, I thought it was a sweet way to leave the program,
and
is to go back to Cotter.
It's absolutely.
Where,
go back where you started, pass it on to with the hospital.
Well, she really lucked out because Charles is on the school board, and Kelly and I are alumni.
So I got the whole group there. I mean, we couldn't go wrong. And Julie Tilley, the SRO, has been wanting it over there for her kids, and so the time was perfect. And then I thought this is a good way to. You have to raise a lot of money to do this because we pay teams to come in and film it and do sound effects, and we do recordings, and we buy shirts for all the seniors and everybody that's in the event. It's a great training exercise now for all these emergency people, so we honor them with rescue shirts. And so we have about 65 emergency personnel that come in, and they get credit hours for doing this now, and
because it's treated absolutely as though
it's a training exercise.
It is an exercise as though these were
it's a big
kids
drill.
out drinking or into drugs, and
it's as real as we can make it. And they cut them out of the cars and they evac them out, and we body bagged 3 this year, and we put 5 in ambulances, and we arrest one of them. So you've got 3 law enforcement agencies, 3 fire departments, and you've got a funeral home. Kirby Funeral Home has been a co-sponsor with me from the very beginning. Mary Kirby, and I went to her first, and I said, tell me the names of all these people that I haven't been associated with that I've got to go call on. And she was right at my side. They were great contributors and still are. So, because they have used it as a community service event for their agency.
This is not what any of us as parents or just community members ever want for our kids.
No, but it's the beautiful part, and we talked about this yesterday, and I thought last night what I would want to say. this community is overwhelming. Baxter and Marion County are overwhelming to me because I'm a Little Rock girl, and I came up here 16 years ago, and I was called a Flatlander when I got here. And I stayed long enough that they don't call me a Flatlander anymore, and I bought my home, and
Did they eventually stop doing that?
Okay. I'm a native now. I'm in. Yeah, I'm in and connected. Yeah. But I said, if I were in Little Rock, I don't know that people would pay this much attention or give this much time. This community has poured out everything they've got to be part of this program, and it just amazes me when I pick up the phone and say, we're going to do the last dance. I have more people trying to come from the fire departments than we could rescue a village. That's so precious, and I've met with them and talked to them, and I said, we can't have 40 firemen on the field doing one thing. So we have to scale it back. And how many communities can you go into and find that? And just no one has said no. No one has. And so it's not a Judy Fagan program. I'm the dream weaver in this deal, but it's a community event. It has involved all of these agencies, all of these people, and they know what you're talking. When you call them, even when she starts to call next year, they'll know what she's doing.
As soon as you mention Last Dance, they're going to understand what it is.
Yeah, that's a blessing out of it, And I do think we impact the kids. I do think that we make them feel something in this.
I noticed earlier on, you've got regular certificates that the kids sign.
Melody did that. No, those are handout. Tell her what those are.
Those are their life pledge. And what those are for is for them to say to themselves and to each other that I'm not going to drink and drive or whatever that's going to endanger my life, and I'm going to make sure that I can take care of my friends and myself, and we're not going to do this. And that's their pledge, that they will be a non-drinking driver, and that they will take care of themselves, and that they will help to take care of their friends. And those are going to be put up. Are those going to be put up at the school as well?
We're going to have a table. I believe that Julie's planning the table, and we've got cards printed for them to put in their wallet that also remind them that I'm not going to drive drunk. I'm not going to get in the car with a drunk driver or impaired driver.
Right.
Any piece we can hand them that makes them realize that they have entered into a level of responsibility that they hadn't considered before. And so they did the certificates at the hospital, and we got the cards printed locally for them to put in their wallet, and just everything you can do.
And signing something has that. I mean, it does take it a step mentally further. I know once like, wow, I'm
committing to something. Wait just a minute, because they're very skeptical. I mean, when you start handing them stuff, it's
I'm too cool for some of this. Yeah.
But the one thing that we try and accomplish is I have good kids in this Rex, and the reason for that is if I have kids that are really in trouble and I put them in these cars, they're going to think it's funny and fun, and the next weekend they're going to go out and drink again and continue to do. I'm not sure that being in that car is going to take that out of the mix. So I have good kids in here that are going to, what my job is to empower them now, because they've been in this program, to pay more attention to their friends that are in trouble with this, with drinking and driving or texting in the cars, because a car is a powerful piece of equipment.
Right.
And when it wrecks, there's no guarantee you can ever survive it. And I want them to just raise their level of consciousness and maybe reach out and say, hey, let me have those keys. Because they're all going to be exposed to alcohol and drugs and a lot of risk taking. And I want to make these kids my ambassadors to go in, and I think young people helping each other is more powerful.
They'll pay closer attention.
Yeah, and so that's kind of why I use the kids that I'm not worried about as much as I am the others, to just have this, just boot them up enough with this experience to go in there and help everybody.
How many ambassadors are you going to have?
Well, I have 10. I have, actually, I'm using a parent car this year, and I have a teacher from Cotter and his wife from Flippin, teaches at Flippin, and they're going to be the chaperones in our prom car with 3 prom students, and then we're going to have 5 in the car that hits them.
Wow.
We're going to kill the daddy in the prom car, and we're going to kill 2 students in the other car, and they're going to just be out raising Cain during prom time.
I took a look the other day at the Baxter Bulletin. Kevin had gone and taken some photos, and I think that was probably from last year.
No, because it's been quiet for 2 years, so
Okay.
it was back in 07, 08. 09 was my last year to do it.
Okay.
And so those are old pictures from there.
Still moving, and what he captured in the crowd. I mean, you're telling yourself this is all a reenactment, this is all actors, this is not real, and yet I looked at the people that are in the audience that he captured as well on film, and oh my goodness, their emotions are absolutely
It's very still, extremely still. You will
Yeah.
hear some of them laugh, and that's because young people react that way. They
little
laugh
nervous.
because they just release stuff. But Kevin has taken incredible pictures. It has really kept the program connected to the community, because he just puts us all over the paper in staggering photos, and I'm so thankful for that. One year, finally, we had traveled together for several years. His daughter was in it. She was in a Mountain Home one, and we really messed her up with makeup, and she was in, I believe, the one that they helicoptered up, they air evac'd up, and he had to do a close-up of her. So I had to visit with him and her before that. They had a family.
Everybody was shaken up.
They had a family talk about it, I think, and all to prepare for it, and said that they could do it. But he took some awesome pictures of his own daughter.
Wow.
In that, so that was amazing.
Judy, Melody, we need to take a short break. Don't go away. I want to keep going with this, so don't you go away either. We'll be right back after this break.
Oh, Kevin's